This is all about resiliency. This is all about beating the odds when it's a challenging market. This is all about learning from each other. So let's start off with the #1 Remax team in the world, Gary Ashton. Are you kidding me? How about the #1 team and just a total badass? I call him AD. #1 team in Michigan, Anthony Jean. Come on up. #1 team in Michigan. Get up here. I told you we're not messing around. Ready for another #1? #1 Remax team in all of Canada. #1 Remax team in all of Canada, Justin Haver.
Gary?
There's too many #1s for this guy, and I don't know exactly how to do it. Sacramento, California, I don't know what to do. But #1 in a lot of things, Suneet Agarwal. Get up here, #1. By the way, what's your favorite #1?
It's just Sacramento right now.
Okay,
so,
#1 is Sacramento. Sacramento's big. State capital, California. Let's go. We're in California. And this is, this is no accident, fellas, that I saved this for last, because when I say this, it just says everything. The #1 team in the United States, period. Robert Slack, Fine Homes, Dan Walters. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. So we're about to have some fun here. Here's my goal. The less words I say, the better, because you're about ready to have some knowledge dropped that has allowed these gentlemen to give thousands of people jobs, help their families, and they're committed to the core no matter what the market. Am I right? Are you committed?
True story.
100%.
So
Yes, we are all committed.
So without further ado, let's just get the conversation going, be as real as we can, and realize that this 30 minutes is gonna fly. So when it comes to resiliency, and when it comes to a challenging market, it comes to these interest rates, Ricardo did a great job just really speaking the truth of where we're at right now. I think he used the word difficult, challenging, difficult. That said, as I've been hanging out with you guys the last 24 hours off and on, what came up a lot is this very common term, doubling down. Doubling down. So when it's like this, when some teams are off 40% year over year, or more, or less, whatever, Anthony, where do you double down right now?
Well, I can tell you what we've done at our brand. So last year at FUBCON, we were talking about this. It was almost the same discussion, right? And I'm going to give you my perspective of what I've seen my competitors do in Michigan. Everybody was giving up billboards. They were giving up lead sources, tech. Literally, they were virtually stripping down their entire brand. And what I've always said and done, I said this last year, we're going to double down. So not only did I not give anything up, but what we wound up doing is we bought more leads, more tech, and we increased our infrastructure, meaning that because it wasn't so busy as it was last year, we had a great opportunity to look at all the things that were working and things that we should have been doing that we weren't doing. And let me tell you, there was a lot. And we reset the clock, and we doubled down and reinvested in everything. And right now, I'm proud to say we're having a big year. And part of it is, I hope nobody's from Michigan in here, but all of my competition is almost gone, right? And I think that the takeaway from, at least from my point to you is reset your clock, look at this as a positive. This is the best market to be in your life. You will never have a better market than now for your presence. So if you're a solo agent or you're a team, this is the time for you to build that next level that you and your brand deserve. Let's get it.
That fires me up. That fires me up. Boom. Justin, your thoughts on doubling down? Anything different than what Anthony said? Anything additional?
Well, I mean, I think, everybody has an opportunity, and really you got to create your own action economy. And that is by doubling down on your activity. We are obviously here at FUBCON, and again, thanks to Dan for putting on yet another amazing event for all of us to collaborate and learn how to better utilize follow-up boss. And this is, you don't necessarily need to double down on your advertising spend where many people are cutting back. You can also double down on your activities or tripling down on your activities in follow-up boss, making sure you double or triple down on the number of contact attempts you make with every opportunity that comes into your CRM. And at the same time, you need to stay consistent with that because, we all know that, we live in the 60, 90-day world of the activities that we do here in the next 30 days. We reap the benefits down the road. And it's all about, creating that action economy.
That's a really good point. I just want to add one more piece. That's it, right? I believe that everybody, if you're a team or you're an agent, you need to double down on your salesmanship. I can't tell you enough on so many agents that I see in teams that they're so busy hiring all these people, they're not training them correctly. You've got to get these agents really double down on being a true master at their craft.
Double down on education of your agent.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Take that.
Gary always
Gary
gives me good points.
Take that point a little deeper.
Yeah, please.
Take that one step deeper.
So, I mean, for us, we have a massive database and we have lots of leads coming in. So we've got to the point where you really have to make sure that all the standards that you set and all the programs that you're implementing, you've got to make sure that the agents are actually following through and actually doing what you're instructing them to do through the training. So when things are, I'll give you an analogy. When things are going so well, I felt like we're all driving along at 120 miles per hour in a fog. And we're all zooming along and, the agents on either side, and we're all rushing towards the closing line. And I would say, everything good? Everything good? Yeah, we're driving along. Yeah, everything good? We're driving along. And then, when things slow down, that's when the fog lifts. And that's when I see Anthony, what are you doing over there? Come over here. And you start to have the time to look at maybe some of the speech, the language patterns that he's using, the text, the messaging. And you want to just bring them back in, and bring them back in the line with your brand, is what you were saying. Right. So this time right now, we have the ability to go in and mine our database. I think we all have massive databases, essentially.
I mean, not as big as his.
Some bigger than others.
He's got the biggest of them all.
Yeah. So, for us being able to utilize some of the new products and the technology, the AI that's out there, and use that in line with the education that we've always spent time educating the agents, but maybe sometimes we kind of leave them are you good? And then just let them go off. I think now with this potential slowdown, is the time we can actually really focus on stuff. I think we're using Fellow, we're using Real Scout, we're using Ylopo. We got all these products that we're using, Real Grader. But really what we're really focusing on is digging that potential, which is in all of our databases. And we've had that for so long. And I think as business compresses a little bit, it just gives you more time to focus and focus on those efficiencies.
And also applying standards and holding everybody accountable within the system because, let's be honest, we all got really comfortable with the market here during the pandemic, and it was pretty easy to sell real estate. And perhaps a lot of us kind of let go of the standards that we had in our organizations because we were all in overwhelm, and it was very, fast market. And now when things are slowing down, it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we can go deeper with the opportunities that we have in our CRM by upholding higher standards and really, getting more out of the opportunities that we already have in our CRM and inspecting
I think
that.
Takes it to the accountability with the agents,
Yeah.
right? Because
100%.
you're held hostage when you come up with a new idea on a Tuesday and you roll it out, and then you have one agent freak out, and the next week you have to stick to what works, the fundamentals and what you say, 100%.
I think we're probably all better operators today because of the last 6 to 12 months than we've ever. You have to be.
Right.
And I know we've learned so much. And when we say double down, I don't mean double down on spend. Double down, it's grinding down.
Yeah.
I think, and it's going back to retrain, making sure accountability is there, as we're saying, and the expectations. And let's face it, I mean, 60,000 agents are gone already. That's probably going to go to 120,000 by the end of the year.
Yep.
And so we've got to make sure from an expectation that those leads, we're a leads model, we're all leads model here. We spend millions of dollars, and we've got to make sure that the right agents are getting the right leads at the right time. And some of those agents, let's face it, I said this backstage, they're doing four deals. That's not a career. That's a hobby, and
Right.
we're going to see some agents leave, and we got to make sure we're feeding the agents that have been with us for 9 years.
And when you say that you got to double down, how about doubling down on profitability? Right? How about keeping your eye closer on these things instead of what many team leaders done? Me, myself, 100%, 1,000%. I chased every friggin' shiny thing that came out, right? And I think...
I do that too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I learned it from you, Coach. But he gets something that calls me. I'm, oh, yeah, cool, yes. You know, think of if you're doubling down on growth in this down market, great, it's a massive opportunity. If you're doubling down on profitability in this down market, you know, just figure out what you need to do to hit the other side.
Can I put a point in? I want to
No.
put a point in. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I want to referee this.
Because I really want the audience to get something, at least out of my portion. I see so many agents in this business. I see it within my own brand, right? As much as I try to train my people in the right way, right? We mastermind every Friday together. We role play all different scenarios, listing appointments, buyer situations. So my people are at least well versed in communication with a new potential client. So where I'm going with this is to everybody in here. It's so critical for you to go back to basics. So if you're a solo agent, you're a mega team like us, or you're an actual big brokerage, I think it's critical for you when you get back is to start researching companies out where you can actually learn on how to sell, right? Because we all need that. I try to read a book a month on selling, right? To learn different closing techniques, different strategies. I see it within my own brand, right? We spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on leads. And I'll have Cindy, who's this kick-ass agent. She's a great communicator. She could convert that lead, get the appointment, go on the listing appointment, nail the listing appointment, comes back home with the buy and the listing. And then you have Joe, novice Joe, who will take that same call and wouldn't get those results. So where I'm going with this is you have to train your people, you have to train yourself on how to be a true salesperson in the next level, because you're gonna need it. And you don't need to talk to a lot of people to have that conversion. You could talk to a few people and have the same results as somebody talking to 100 people. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I would agree. Training right now, we're retraining. We're going back at everything that we do, every lead source, and looking at it and having additional training. I mean, because we call it the DNA of the lead. We have, 18 months ago, we had 3 lead sources. We're sitting here today, 15 to 16 lead sources. I couldn't go into the next 24 months with just having 3 lead sources. So now we're out there with multiple lead sources. They're coming after us because they've got a product and a service that our agents can convert. And so for us, going into 24 months, but having, let's face it, having a realtor on one side, a realtor.com on one side, and have Zillow on the other side, and Rocket Mortgage behind me, and Better Mortgage behind me, and all these other lead sources, that's what's gonna get us through. Mm-hmm. And so retraining each agent on the DNA of each one of those leads, because they start differently, they're handed off differently. And so really going back and retraining every single agent, and that's where we're doubling down.
So you guys hear that? That's a writer downer from Mr. Walters right here, right? The DNA of a lead. That's a writer downer. So
they've got to know every lead's different, and if agents are getting multiple leads, and all of a sudden they're having one conversation or one type of conversation on that lead, it's not the conversation you want to have on a different type. So making sure that they understand the DNA is very, very important for us.
We talked about doubling down. Did you get something from that? Yes. But we have everybody from solo agents to teams of 5 to teams of 50 to teams of 400 in here. And the other side of the coin is to make sure you're still smart and that you don't double down on everything. Some things you need to get lean on. So Dan, if I can lean on you for this question, you have almost 1,000 agents, originally started by Robert Slack, who started his real estate career in his mid-60s. Talk about resilience. Anybody heard of Robert Slack? Legend. Unbelievable friend of mine. Where do you need to get lean? Where is it smart to get lean, though?
Yeah, well, again, all of us, we have to look at everything on that P&L. There's no question that compression and profits are changing. So where we've got lean is when you're spending $1.5 million a month on leads, technology, and labor, you've got to look at those different areas. And so what we've done is we've really transitioned with these new lead sources, Andrew, that we talked about. All the new lead sources that are coming in now are all referral-based lead sources. So for me I don't have to write a check for $1.5 million at the first of every month. I can only write a check for $700,000 because the rest of them, I get paid when the agent gets paid and I get paid when the referral source. So for cash flow reasons, to make sure that we minimize as much risk as we can, we need money in the bank. And so for us, we're looking at everything that hits the P&L. Do we need it? Is it driving revenue? Believe me, there's lead sources that we've started that we've stopped. If it can't generate enough return quickly, because most of these, they'll start returning in about 12 to 18 months. Well, that's too long for me. I need instant. And so for us, we've cut our spend in half, and we brought on additional leads through those referral lead sources.
Justin, I was just up with you in Calgary at your team meeting, and what are your thoughts on that? Because I know that's something that's important to you. Being lean where you need to be.
I think it's critical for every business operator to always inspect and also measure lead attribution, to see obviously when the lead came into the system, how long does it take for you to get an ROI on that investment that you make. One of the things that we've been very fortunate with is, we have really high organic visibility in our marketplace from the websites that we have. So for us, we have been able to cut back on some of the, paid ads because we have, again, such high organic traffic. And it's constantly just, watching your numbers and making sure that you are a responsible business operator. Obviously, when you have the responsibility of 80 families that we provide for, you have to make sure that you, again, are responsible every single month. And I couldn't imagine, $1.5 million a month in expenses. I mean, that's a lot of anxiety and pressure.
That's just on leads.
That's just on leads. And you know what? I've said it many times, I spend a month what I used to dream about earning in a single year.
Yeah, right.
And I think, the responsibility that we have when the markets change is that we also have to be able to pivot and adapt. Just like an individual agent, we all have to do that. And we all remember March 2020, where we all had to do the same thing in our business because we were not sure of what was going to be the next step.
I mean, you guys should start with make sure you have a business bank account, business credit card, get your profit and loss and look at them and understand them, understand your cost of goods sold, right? Like, know this numbers if you don't. I'm begging you.
I want to add a piece to this. So I'm the opposite. I didn't want to go lean on anything. From last year to this year, did I make more money? No. Did I take anything away? No. I have a different kind of vision for this, right? In my brain, right? Because I want you to get something out of this, at least my perspective. If you're a solo agent, you're a mega team, you're a big brand, you might not make the money that you made last year, but that doesn't, this is my perspective only, but that doesn't mean that you should shave anything down. Because I feel, and this is just my belief, is that when you shave anything down, you're not getting ready for this next year. 2024, in my eyes and what I see for our brand, it's going to be a monstrous year. And that's because I didn't give up my billboards. A lot of I spent $300,000 a month on leads. I've got, I'm the official, sponsor of the Detroit Pistons. I'm keeping all of these things, and I'm making this investment so next year will be absolutely huge, not just for myself, but for my agents. That's all I'm saying. And if you're a solo agent, you should double down, buy leads, invest in tech, invest in people to help you grow your business, get it to that next level, because everybody else is just giving everything up. And you don't want to do that. That's just my perspective.
Your strategy through this is to get massive growth, right? And make
that is
big
my
investment.
strategy.
That's a great strategy. How about start by having a strategy, right?
Okay, let's talk about resiliency when it comes to buyers and sellers right now. I think both sides are a bit apprehensive in this market. So doesn't mindset play a big role? Because you have to inspire your agents to still make shit happen.
Right.
Period, right? So how is that, Gary, let's start with you. How is that done with office meetings? How is that done with the leaders beneath you, Gary, that inspire to still make it happen in these conditions?
I think that everybody is just getting back to fundamentals, that instead of being an order taker, now you actually have to bring added value to your clients. And we all know there's the battle with commission compression, and also the whole thing with the Department of Justice and all the lawsuits that are going on. So I think what will happen, and I think people here, I think Chris was saying it, people here are pretty much the visionaries of the market. But we are all going to have to focus on what we do now, but really enhance it, which is by bringing added value. We're not just going to show somebody homes. We've got to do what good agents have done for years, which is have that list of vendors, list of contacts, all the knowledge of the market, knowledge of mortgage products, so everything that, instead of just opening the door, writing the contract, now we've got to create that atmosphere where we really are investing in ourselves. We invest in all our people. We've got systems that we've invested in. We use the ISA model, so we're constantly refining that. We've got, I think Joe's in here, our director of ISAs, and Scott Hull. We're really taking all that information and constantly refining it and reviewing it to make what we're doing more efficient, but by creating that added value. So I think I'm guilty of, if somebody's doing really well, let me throw them another 10 leads. If they're doing really well, let me throw them another 20. But I think what we've discovered, I think everybody probably knows, is that less is more. So the more that we invest in figuring out what the capacities are for agents, the more efficient they're going to be, and the more that they can actually then add to their client, because they're actually spending more time with the client, and they have that time to really invest in themselves. So yeah, I think it's just getting back down to fundamentals for us.
Dan, when I was introduced to you by the Mr. Robert Slack 10 years ago, I could tell you're a positive dude, man, right away. And I could tell that because we were with, like 40 of your agents at a workshop. It was amazing. But it's not all about positivity. You have to arm these agents with a mindset. How do you do that day in, day out with that many agents?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We were a virtual company before COVID, right? And we were 9 years old on Sunday. We're a young company, but we've always been virtual. So we just finished what we call our state tour. We traveled to 14 different teams around the state and got in front of every single agent over the last 90 days.
Awesome.
I held a state of the company, state of the industry, a webinar. We had about 500 agents on, and you just have to be transparent. You've got to let them know exactly. We need to control the narrative sometimes. Yeah, the sky's not falling, it's not as bad, but we've got to be transparent and talking about accountability, flexibility, making sure that they understand what got us here won't get us there. I mean, we have to make sure that every single day they're positive. Some of them have not gone through this. A lot of our agents were only 9 years old. Some of our agents just started real estate. They haven't seen this downturn. So really staying in front of them. We're hosting next week or 2 weeks another fireside chat with myself. And I get on there and just really talk about the importance, but being open and honest and controlling the narrative. They're hearing a lot of things, just like the buyers and sellers are hearing a lot of things. We need to be the one telling the story.
You have to lead from the front, right? Like be upfront, show them that you're working, right? It's time to come off your ivory tower if you moved into one last couple years, and show them that you're working and you're putting in the work. I have no doubt that every one of my team knows that I outwork all of them, right? Can your team say that about you? That's how you build that mindset.
Yeah, so Deborah Beagle's my business partner, and so she's the hyper positive, hyper focused on the team and developing and training and all that good stuff. But we've been around, I think we've all been around for a while, so we've got agents on our team that have been through the different markets. So what Deborah's been doing is really utilizing that and bringing out and educating the newer agents that you can invest in yourself and you can spend time learning about the product and creating all this added value. Because, like I said, in 2020 or 21, you're pretty much writing contracts and showing clients. Now, I know that was a tough time too, because having to write 50 contracts to get one accepted kind of thing, but utilizing the knowledge that we have within the brokerage of the agents, the experience that we have to be able to educate the newer agents, just give them a different viewpoint of how things can be. And I think that's the benefit of being on the team. I always say it's the power of the team. So we're stronger as a team because of that knowledge and depth of experience that we have. Justin, you have the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's also important, for the teams that we have built in our markets, we have built a very strong brand. And when the market goes through changes, the consumer will seek out the people that are known to get results in their marketplace, right? Because, we in Calgary, we've gone through many economic challenges because our economy is tied directly to energy prices. And from 2015 to 2020, it was a pretty depressed market. We had, about $5 billion in annual salaries walk out of downtown Calgary in one single year. And we were sitting at kitchen tables where people were crying because, they couldn't pay their mortgage. Didn't have any equity. They couldn't sell their house. And, but the people came to us because we were known to get the job done in our marketplace because of the reputation and the brand that we have built over the years. Even to the point where other agents would contact us to get their house sold.
Awesome.
Or they would sit in front of us as a seller and be like, hey, I'm trying to sell your house for a year. Call Justin Harvin Associates, and then we take it over and we sell it. So, it's a good thing that the markets go through change as well, and the real estate market is constantly going to change and evolve, and people will always buy based on circumstances and needs. And this is where we got to, double down on the activities that we're doing today, double down on your skill set, and make sure that you are kind of like water and fluid to be able to continue to build those relationships, to be that trusted advisor in your marketplace. It doesn't matter when someone's going to buy.
And just look at it as a big opportunity. We're in the best market ever. Just keep saying that to yourself. Stay away from anybody that's negative. They talk this doom and gloom. They are your enemy. Look at the positive. This is you rebranding yourself, right? We are all winners here, right? I can't have enough respect for all of you to make your way out here, to invest in yourself. So it just says so much about you as a person, or for your brand. And I'll tell you that if you keep that positive mentality and stay away from these negative individuals, 2024 will be a big year for you. Remember, everybody's got to live somewhere, right? And they're going to move at one point. And the question is are they going to move with you? And I'm willing to bet my money that they'll do it with you, for sure.
It's opportunity, 100%.
Before my next question, I just want to thank you all for not only you being on Follow Up Boss, your entire teams are using Follow Up Boss. I want to thank you for that. But I think what we should talk about now is something that I bet I'm going to have show a raise of hands. How many in some way are still recruiting agents right now on the audience? Wow, you see that? We're talking about 70%.
I mean, they're still recruiting.
So I think
we are recruiting heavily. Join GaryAshton.com.
KFR.
So the simple question is,
don't go to Remax, come to my brand.
When real estate was relatively easy 2 years ago, right? Relatively compared to now, pretty easy, right? How has recruiting changed now? What's the advice you would give to everyone who wants to bring on 10 agents in the next year, who wants to bring on 30 agents in the next 6 months? How do you do that successfully in these times?
Well, you could hire me, my coaching website on. Follow me on Instagram. Just saying.
It's just a matter of time, right?
Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
You know, the whole popularity of teams is still based on. I always go back to when I first started as a single agent. I was doing my ads, and I could get 1 or 2 leads a day. That was good for me. Then I got to a point where I was getting 20 or 30 leads a day, and I always give the analogy. It's like this is where I show my age, but you know the old cabaret shows, they had the poles and they had the plates spinning on top. So you can probably manage about 15 of those. As if you remember, if you think of each one being a client, if it's spinning at 120 miles per hour, then it's level, it's great. You got 15, you can service all those people. When you start adding more and more, when you get to 30, then you start running a little bit, then you see one plate wobbling, but you get it. Then we start adding 50 to 60, and then all you're doing is chasing the falling plate. You know, you hear it, then you run to the next. So that to me that's the point when you need to create a team, when you have too much business for yourself. Having the whole concept of being a team doesn't make sense to me unless you have an excess of business. So I still kind of refer back to that as like, teams are great, but what's the point of us all being on a team when we're all trying to share 3 leads? You know,
Yeah, you have to create opportunity.
It wouldn't be a good team.
It'd be a competitive team.
Part of the recruiting, I mean, I think it's important to be open-minded in your approach and do every single thing. I have a list of stuff. If you see me out in the hall, I'll give it to you. It's the total like 29-point thing on how we recruit. But like, try new things, do the organic, do the fundamentals, the KFR. That is your currency. People are your currency right now, folks. Like, if you have the most agents, you will win.
So Steve, what does KFR stand for?
Keep fucking recruiting.
There you go.
Swear.
I know, Gary. I know you totally.
What's the matter with you? You kiss your mother
He
with those
asked.
lips?
Gary's sitting right here. He would text me if we were somewhere else.
How many teams are actually in here? Raise your hands. How many teams are in here?
I think right now
Wow, there's a lot of teams in here.
Right now is the best time for recruiting.
And you'll find
Every agent out there right now is looking for a lifeline.
Yeah.
And we had our best month last month. We recruited 41 agents last month that came over. What they're looking, I mean, it's either I've got to make a change because where I'm at, I don't get the leads, I don't have support, I don't have the technology. If you don't have that going in the next 24 months, you're not going to be in real estate.
Right.
And so for us, back prior to the pandemic, everybody's brand new. They were getting into real estate because they were losing their jobs. Now it's a different environment. Now we're getting seasoned agents that are trying to survive, that need leads, they need that support. And so for us, this is the best time to recruit. I mean, no
We're
question.
all encountering this attrition from people leaving the industry. If you don't recruit, which is your lifeblood, you may not have a team, bro, right?
Yeah.
Like KFR, get after it today.
Final 20 seconds, Justin. What is a secret sauce on your recruiting right now?
Oh, secret sauce right now.
What are you doing?
You know what? I think if you put in the work right now and you're willing to actually outwork the competition, you'll win. But I was just going to say on recruiting as well is that there are a lot of solo agents out there that feel very lonely and lost. And maybe they're also at the point of their career where they don't want to do everything and wear all the hats, where a team could be that solution, because you know what? They just want to focus on nurturing and building relationships with clients because that's what they're passionate and good about. They don't want to do all the tech stuff and edit all the videos, shoot all the videos. They just want to work with clients, right? So there's a lot of complexities to being a realtor right now, and I think a team can provide a lot of great solutions, and kudos to all the solo agents out there as well. I mean, you know, you guys are crushing it. And I also want to do a shout out to Wahid that was up here earlier. You know, clearly, completely understand how nervous you were. I'm going to share a little bit of a story here. Last year at FUBCON, I was presenting myself, didn't sleep the night before. I get up here on stage, and the clicker stopped working.
Your face was not happy
he
at
does
that
this kind of align with how you felt, your throat closed up and your mouth dried up and you couldn't talk. So just know that, you know what, we all experience that sometimes. And, you know, again, give him a big round of applause for stepping up here.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what, come back and do it again because next time will be easier.
Gentlemen, that 30 minutes went by in 1 minute. So now, is anybody inspired by what you just heard? Let's give them a huge round of applause.